Makybe Diva, Glen Boss.
Well, when I come back from my injury with my broken neck, I was riding a very good mare called Republic Lass. She beat Northerly in the autumn before that, and she was actually in the market. She was one of the favourites for the Caulfield Cup. She was third favourite for the Cox Plate and third favourite for the Melbourne Cup, and she was going to be my number one headline act for me when I came back. As she was getting through her preparation, getting ready for her first run in that preparation, she done a tendon and was retired, had to be retired. Guy Walter had her, and so I rang David Hall just to have a bit of a whinge and a bitch about me good mare going wrong. He said, "Oh well," and I run fifth or fourth like the year before in Fantastic in the Melbourne Cup. And he said, "Oh, you can ride Fantastic this year if you want, you know, going forward, or you can ride this mare because she's only going to have a light weight, Makybe Diva." I said, "Oh yeah, she'd be a good ride, you know, maybe because she won the Queen Elizabeth in the year before." So he said, "We'll ride her in the Caulfield Cup and then see how we go if we've got the right horse to win the Melbourne Cup." And that was it. That was history. I rode her in the Caulfield Cup. She drew the outside, ran an unbelievable fourth. So the wheels were in motion. From that point onwards, I knew that we had the right horse that could win my first Melbourne Cup. And as she was the whole way through her career, she was just dynamite from that call. And that first time I rode her, she just kept on getting better and better. And the only other time I was more confident of winning a major race was her third one, but the first one we were so confident that she could win. She had an amazing couple of weeks after the Caulfield Cup, so everything was building up really well. She drew sort of middle of the pack. I think she drew 14 or 12 or something like that. And with 51 kilos, we knew how much speed this horse had she was like unbelievable turn of speed. So my only instructions from David Hall, who trained her, and he said, when you get to 600, just count to 10. Just don't move until you get well and truly into the straight. And that was pretty cool, because that was what I was going to do anyway. I knew I was what I had underneath me, and I just cut my way through the field. And when I let the shackles go on her, it was just an amazing turn of speed.
With Makybe Diva going for a run, she's finishing hard, and wider out now. Fantastic is joining in, and she's Archie runs on, but Makybe Diva.
She regularly done this. When she won the 3 Melbourne Cups or any distance race on her, like just say the BMW or the Australian Cup, she had better sectionals, half mile, 600 metres, 200 metres than the actual open class sprint or the Group 1 sprint on the day. That's how much power she had.
Makybe Diva in front, she's Archie, tries hard, but Makybe Diva wins the cup. She's Archie second.
Going past the post and realising that I'd won my first Melbourne Cup was unbelievable experience. My whole body was on fire. Like every sinew in my body was just punching out electric signals like you just can't believe. And yeah, it was just, I was walking on cloud 9 for weeks after it. You walk to the beat of a different drum when you win a Melbourne Cup, because you're a Melbourne Cup winning jockey all of a sudden. You know, you're getting calls from around the world, and you're in front of, you know, you're on breakfast TV next morning, and you're doing all sorts of crazy stuff. It just transforms your whole life.
Coming into the next year, you got a change in trainer.
Yep.
I know Ollie and I think it was Luke Curry had rides on her as well beforehand, and you came on again before the Caulfield Cup. Was there any danger of you not keeping the ride during that period?
Oh, there was a bit of movement, but there was never any danger. Tony Sanick was very staunch, you know. Lee and Ollie were obviously very entrenched at that time, so Ollie thought, well, it'll just be a normal thing. I'll get the ride on Makybe Diva now, because he was a stable rider for basically Friedman set up. And there was a few anxious moments there where I thought maybe I'd lose the ride. But Tony, to his credit, he stuck so solid. He had my back the whole time. He said, there's no way that you're going to be taken on. Because, you know, Tony won a lot of money when we won the first one. You know, he had a big bet, and I executed the plan to perfection. And he honoured that agreement that, you know, if you do the job, you'll keep the job.
Racing in the Emirates Melbourne Cup.
We were semi-confident that Melbourne Cup, that second one, but we were up against the world's best 2-miler in Vinnie Rowe. And Dermot Well was super confident that he had him in the right place. So we thought, well, you know, we've got a big mountain to climb now, because you know, arguably the greatest two-mile in the world we were coming up against, so it was going to be a different event.
Followed then by Media Puzzle around the outside. Honor Jean's making a run there, followed by...
I remember we got to the 1,000 and I was in a beautiful spot, but I had one outside me, and then I had Vinnie Rowe. He was 3 wide. You know, he was that type of horse that needed a bit of room, and Pat Smullen, the great Pat Smullen, God rest his soul. And I just remember got to the half mile, from the 1,000 half mile, I thought, well, he's going to have to start making his move, which he did. And I was doing the calculations, I was thinking, well, he's going to have to go around at least 15 horses possibly, and he's going to cover a lot of ground. So I thought, well, if I just stick to the fence here and pick my way through, because I know that when I let her go, she's going to go quick, even in these conditions. I reckon I've got him if I just do that. And I did. I stuck through the fence. I think I went around one horse. And you wouldn't believe it, as I popped out at the 300 metre mark, here he is, Vinnie Rowe. He'd made his run and we joined, you know.
Coming with him, Makybe Diva. She's got right up on the inside, Makybe Diva. She's hit the front now.
So it was going to be this great weight for age battle, it felt like, you know, like two heavyweights going to bang it out down the straight. And when I let her go, she gave me that really good sprint like she always did. And I put about a length and a quarter on him, but he just kept battling away. And I never felt like I had him covered until I got right towards the line.
Here comes Vinnie Rowe. Elstrom coming with him. Makybe Diva. She's got right up on the inside, Makybe Diva. She's hit the front now from Vinnie Rowe and Zasman. It's Makybe Diva clear. She's out by 2 lengths to Vinnie Rowe. It's Makybe Diva clear, and she's going to do what no mare has ever done. Makybe Diva wins it again.
And it was such a fitting race that we won, you know, because Dermot Weld after the race said Vinnie Rowe was perfect and he was ridden perfectly and the best horse on the day won. And so he took his hat off and said, you know, the best horse, she was too good. So coming from Dermot Weld and coming from Pat Smullen that we were too good, that was a big achievement, because that really cemented that Makybe Diva was the best horse in the world at that time, over that distance.
Stand by for a start, and the last to get set will be Vinnie Rowe.
Lee thought to turn her into the absolute champion and the undisputed champion that she was. We knew she was. He said, "There's one race we have to win. It's the Cox Plate, because it's, you know, it's over the pure distance of 2,000 metres. It's weight for age. It's the greatest championship weight for age that we have in Australia. Let's win that, and then we can call her the absolute champion." So the way she did that was my first Cox Plate, so win. So the way she did it and the way the outcome of how it was, like, I never could have scripted that the way it turned out. But she just showcased herself that day. She was the best, you know. She blitzed them.
But it's Makybe Diva in front of Latiria. Fields of Omar coming back in the middle. But Makybe Diva, she's the champ. She wins the Cox Plate. 3/4 Latiria. A great run by...
And I actually honestly thought, Warren, that was my last ride on her, because she didn't pull up as well as she normally had that day, because she just left everything on the table. I think when you get an athlete and they're in that pure spot, when they're just ready to deliver everything, that's what she did that day. She just left nothing behind, and I thought, well, that was the first time on her back that I felt her physically spent. And I said to Lee on getting off, I said, man, she's gone today. And I remember Lee parading, he got hold of it because he could see her eyes were completely glazed over, stressed, and she just wasn't coming back to us like she normally would. So I was adamant that was my last time I was going to be on her back, and I was really gutted. And about 4 or 5 days later, Lee rang me and said, mate, and I was expecting that call, mate, we've done. He said, mate, this thing's unbelievable. I'm getting chills now. He said, this thing is put on 6 kilos from Saturday, and it is in a different place again. And I swore, you know, I said, oh my God, I can't believe it. He said, mate, you've got to come down to Markdale on Thursday, and I want you to ride it, and he said, don't sugarcoat this, don't fluff it, because I want you to just tell me exactly how this thing is. I went down there on the Thursday and I worked it twice, because on his property on Markdale, and the gallop is when you do it on the sand track, and you sort of do this horseshoe thing, and you end up right up above his property. So I did the gallop, and I was on her back, and she stopped at the top of the hill. And she stopped and took this massive, big, deep breath and just cleared her lungs. And she stood there with her ears pricked and looked around and I went, holy shit. Wow. I come down and I said, mate, this is unbelievable. And he said, well, this is not the final piece of the puzzle. There's one more piece. He said, on Saturday morning, Derby morning, I want to take her to Mornington and I want to give her a proper gallop with her mate. And if she's not going to cope with that gallop, we're not taking her Tuesday. And so, you know, people were to and fro, and this is a joke. What are we doing? This was absolutely serious because we didn't want to take her there with 58 kilos and get her beat because she'd done everything we'd asked her to do. So we went to Mornington that morning and we went with a pretty good gallop mate. She galloped like I'd never ever been on a horse before. It was that quick and that powerful and that in control. There was clockers there that have never seen a horse go that quick in a gallop, and she stood and made up about 8 lengths from the 600 metre mark and not only joined it, beat it 3 lengths and did it with the littlest of ease, and I pulled up and I was in absolute awe of this athlete, of what it was capable of doing. And I said to Lee and Tony, I said it's all over. It won't get beat. It cannot get beat.
They're set.
That Tuesday when I got to the races, I was doing interviews all morning on the radio saying it was over. Like, I was just so confident. I had the best sleep on the Monday night. I had that many good dreams. I had dreams I was falling off and I could get back on. I was riding it backwards. It still was winning. You know, there was no way. Every dream, every outcome of the dream was the same. I was winning. So I got there on the Tuesday and I was so relaxed and happy. Every camera I was pointing in front of me saying, you know, I was so confident.
They're all going forward as they come past the 400 the first time. He's got Makybe Diva one off the rails. Then Makybe Diva, who's on the rails now. Great piece of riding by bosses.
It's an incredible experience when you know that you've got a race won a long way from home and everything slows down. And because there was probably 110,000 there and they're lined up from, you know, the birdcage all the way up the whole straight. When a horse gallops and you're on them, they break stride. When their first hoof hits the ground, it's called breaking stride, and they actually slow down by about a couple of kilometres. So in that moment, you get this kind of quiet moment. It's only for a millisecond, but it's a quiet moment as you slow, and I could hear I could hear this all the way down the straight, the crowd, and I actually could hear parts of the call. Greg Mull, I could actually hear parts of his call. In a most incredible experience. I've never felt that before, and I've never felt that since. But I got to enjoy 300 metres of this powerful moment where she was kept breaking stride. Every stride I could feel it, and as you can see, as I was getting the line, my grin was getting bigger and bigger, you know, because it was all over. And when we hit the line, it was just, I got that real sense of we'd done something that I felt like Hillary. I was the first person that climbed Mount Everest. This is something that no one's ever experienced. So all those emotions come out of me that me and her, and obviously Lee and his great team down at Markdale, we done something that no one's ever done.
Here comes like a falcon end, excellent. But Makybe Diva clear with 100 metres to go. Excellent runs to second. Origin runs on, but a champion becomes a legend. Makybe Diva has won it from either Origin. Excellent. Like a falcon is close up, and just behind those horses there.
But the emotions after across the winning post, I've been asked so many times how I could measure that experience or relay that experience to people, and the only way I can tell you is it was like a slideshow. You know when a slideshow when you push a button and another slide, you get another slide. It was like 1,000 slideshows were going through my brain in seconds. It was almost like overload, because you know you remember yourself as a young kid. You kind of you remember your family, you know, your wife, your kids. You remember, you know, the experience that you've had with this horse. You remember the experience you had when you didn't win a Melbourne Cup. There were so many things that were going through my head. Like, it was complete overload. I was overwhelmed with the experience, but the experience your body was feeling. was unbelievable. That's why it took so long to pull her up. I kept going all the way down past the 1400 metre mark because I wanted to feel this, you know, as much as I possibly can, and I wanted to feel her. And I took a long time. When I come back with Letzi, and I took a long time to come back, and then I felt this overwhelming feeling that I have to show her to the crowd. So I went down here, and I was about the 200 metre mark, and I took her up towards the fence, and I took the hands with reins, and I just showcased her, and I got this. That was the most incredible experience. That little moment there was the best experience I've ever had on a racehorse. That was just that pure moment where she stood there and she looked from one end to the other, and I got this sense of that she knew that they'd come to see her. You couldn't imagine a more fitting way that an athlete goes out, like at the top. Like that was the easiest, softest victory that day of all of her career. So she was an athlete at a very peak, and she got to retire on that day.
Let's look to the future. You don't seem like a bloke who sits on his past achievements. So what's in store? What's to come?
I owe this industry so much, and I want to give back all the energy. I've got so much energy. I'm 52 now, and I feel like a 35-year-old. I've got so much energy, and I want to project that to other people in this industry. I've got some mighty plans, and I just want to sell this to the masses, this game, because it's an exciting industry. I'm pretty proud of what I've done. The way I've applied myself. Like I said, I've kind of left myself an open book, for everybody and anybody to get involved. And now I'm just changing. Now I'm just turning a page on that chapter of my riding career. But the next one's, I'm actually more looking forward to what I've got in front of me than what I've got behind me, to be very honest. Through those friendships that I've formed and the people I've met, I can use those tools, those friendships, to go forward in what I need to do next.